So in the last session, we have seen how to create the standard text using the transaction code SO. Okay, and what is the standard text we have created? Z Airtel address. Okay, this is a standard text. Okay, using the SO10, we have created the standard text, and I told that standard text can be created either statically or dynamically. So if you create directly in SO10, it is nothing but called a static creation. So this is the standard text we have created, which contains some static content. And then we have included this standard text in the smart forms. How do we include that in the smart form? We understood that we have to create a text object. As part of the window, we have to create the text object. By default, the text object type is text element. We need to change that text element to what? Include text, right? You have to change it to include text, and you have to include the what? Standard text. And then we also discussed how to transport the standard text by executing a standard program called as RSTX_drag. Okay, so that is what we have discussed. So let us see how to create the standard text dynamically. If you create directly by using SO10, it is called as what? A static creation. Okay, now I want to create what? Dynamically. Suppose if I go to SO10, suppose I'll check for a standard text like Z gensoft underscore address. Z gensoft underscore address. What is the text ID? Always it is ST. ST indicates what? Standard text. Language is what? English. So if I display this standard text, what is saying here? The text Z gensoft underscore address not found. So there is no standard text existing with this particular name, Z gensoft underscore address. So I want to create this standard text dynamically. So when do we go for creating the standard text dynamically? If you want to store any dynamic content, means if you want to retrieve any data dynamically in the runtime, after data retrieval, if you want to store that data, I can store it inside what? Standard text. If it is a static content, I can directly create from SO10. So I'll go for creating it dynamically. So for creating the standard text dynamically, we have a function model. So if you go to SE37, we have seen some standard function models. So one of the standard function model is save underscore text. Save underscore text. Okay, this is the function model we have to use to create the standard text what? Dynamically. As usual, before calling any function model, what you have to do? We have to check the signature of the function model to understand what are the mandatory parameters, optional parameters, what are the data type of the parameters, whether we have a default values for the parameters, all those things. So this is the function model we have to use to create the standard text dynamically. So if I go to import section, you can see here there is a field called as client. It is of type psi MANDT, which is expecting the client number. In which client you want to create the standard text. Okay, this is a new optional. If you want, you can pass a client number. And there is another mandatory parameter here, header. There is a mandatory parameter header, like what? TLINE. Header like TLINE. Okay, what is this TLINE? If I double click on this TLINE is a structure which has got how many fields? 31 fields. Understood? TLINE is a structure which has got what? 31 what? Fields. It has got 31 fields. So what is the meaning? We need to prepare a work area based on this structure and pass that work area as a parameter. So it is a mandatory parameter. How can you say this is a work area? Because it is referring to what? A structure. And other parameters are what? Optional here. Export anyhow. we know they are always optional. If you are interested, we can import, otherwise we can ignore. So if I go to export section, it is returning two parameters. Any of them are optional by default. Changing, nothing is there. Tables, yes. In the tables section, there is a mandatory parameter. So already we know what are the parameters we have in table section. It is nothing but what? Internal table. So I need to declare an internal table of type what structure? TLINE. Lines of text to be saved. So what are the text you want to save inside the standard text? That particular content you have to store it in an internal table of type what? TLINE. Okay, what is the structure of this? If I double click on this TLINE, yeah, it has got two fields: TD format, which is character of 2, TD line, which is character of 132. What is the description here? Text line means each line content is maximum what? Character of what? 132 characters. So what is the analysis? We need to prepare an internal table of type what? T line, and your parser, and that internal table should contain what? The text that you want to say. What is the structure of this internal table? It has got two fields: TD format and TD line, character of 2 and TD line. Okay, text line. So if you go to the standard text which we created in the last session, if you go to SO10, suppose this is the standard text we have created, G Airtel address. If I display hello, so if I change the editor, go to change editor. So this is nothing but TD format, the left hand side. Okay, why we are discussing this? There is an internal table we have to declare of type what? T line. What is the structure of this T line? It has got two fields: TD format and TD line. TD format is character of 2. TD line is what? Character of 132. Am I clear? So in this particular standard text, this is nothing but format. Okay, if I browse this, there are the different formats here. By default is star, which indicates what? Default paragraph, and this is the content of each line. This can be maximum of what? 132 characters. The content, each line content in the standard text can be maximum of how many lines? How many characters? 132 characters per line. The length of each line can be maximum of 132 characters. So what is the analysis here? We need to prepare two parameters. One is the work area of type what? THEAD, and there is the internal table of type what? TLINE. And this internal table should contain the actual text, what you want to say. And this is a structure of what type? THEAD, which has got some 31 fields like TDNAME, TDID, TDSPRAS, all those things. Okay, so let's see how to create the standard text dynamically. Any questions so far? So in the last session, we have created the standard text using SO10. We have created the static content and we included that standard text in our smart form. Once we create the standard text, I can include that standard text in any number of forms developed using smart forms or SAP scripts or what? Adobe forms. Right. So let us create an executable program. In that executable program, we need to call this particular function model to create the standard text dynamically. The last program, Z called as form 6, is the last private program. Now I want to create an executable program, so I'll say something Z create underscore standard text. Z create underscore standard text create. Create the standard text dynamic. Type of program is executable program. So before calling any function model, what is the approach you have to follow? We have to prepare the mandatory parameters. So according to this signature, there are two mandatory parameters. One of the parameters is a what? Work area of type what? TN. So let me prepare this work area. Text header of text to be saved. So I'll prepare the work area here. Work area containing standard text header. So data w underscore header type what TN. First, I need to prepare a work area of type. This structure has got how many fields? 31 fields. So for how many fields? Okay, for how many fields you have to provide the data means they are the fields TD object, TD name, TDID, and TDSPRAS. Okay, if you create the standard text directly in SO10, what are the things you'll use? Text name you'll use, text ID you'll use, language, right? So when you're creating it dynamically, I should also provide one additional field. What is that additional field? TD object. So TD object, TD name, TDID, TDSPRAS. So let me prepare it. W underscore header hyphen TD object equal to this W underscore header hyphen TD object is equal to what is this here? Character of 10. So this TD object value is always text. Always text. You have to give it as text. Then W underscore header, you have to set TD name, TDID, TDSPRAS. TD name equal to, and give the name of the standard text as something Z gensoft underscore address. Any name you can give. I'm giving it as Z gensoft underscore address. Then W underscore header hyphen, what is the next one? TDID equal to ST. This is always what? ST indicates what? Standard text. W underscore header hyphen, what is the fourth field here? TD SPRAS equal to, what is this TD SPRAS here? TDSPRAS is what? Language key. Language of one language key. In which language you want to create the standard text. So if you're creating directly in SO10, what is the language here? EN, English. So here also, here we logged into what? English. So I'll refer to the system field sign language, login line. So first what I'm doing, I'm preparing a work area of type THEAD, which contains a header information related to the standard text. So out of 31 fields in the structure, there are the minimum 4 fields we have to set. Other fields not required. Understood? So whenever we are creating the standard text header information dynamically, there are the 4 fields you have to set. I've prepared this particular parameter. Out of 31 fields, I prepared the work area by setting values for how many fields? 4 fields. The rest of the fields will have default values, zeros and what? Space. Done. So one parameter is ready. Then what is the other parameter you have to prepare? Internal table. Whatever is there in the tables is nothing but what? Internal table. So I need to declare an internal table of type what? TLINE. What is this TLINE here? Lines of text to be saved. Lines of text to be saved, which is what here? Mandate. Okay. So let us prepare an internal table of type TLINE. So this TLINE has got how many fields? If I double click, it has got 2 fields, TDFORMAT and TDLINE. TDLINE is a field which actually holds a content, text line. Okay, so let us declare an internal table of type what? TLINE. So I'll say data underscore lines type table of TLINE. To prepare the internal table, I require a work area. Na? So I declare the work area, TLINE. So I just declare the internal table and work area based on that structure. So what data you want to store in the standard text is, I want to store the customer data. So we have the KN1 table, which contains some fields like customer number, land one, name one. Okay, so if I go to KN1 table, above dictionary SC level, we have the table KN1, which has got n number of records. It has got around, each record contains around 250 fields. If I go to contents, number of entries, how many are there? 128 entries. So we know in KN1 table we have field one, land one, which stores what? Country key. So if I go to contents, let me filter based on country. I don't have country here now. So how do you change the selection scheme? We have seen many times. Choose the menu settings, fields for selection. Let me give land one also, country. So the selection scheme got modified. So if you see the number of entries, around 128 entries. Let me check for something. Australia customers, AU. How many are there? 0. I'll give you AR, Argentina. How many are there? 0. Okay. So I'll just execute. It will show me the 200 records. Anyhow, overall we are having only what? 120. So in my server, I'm having only 128 entries. In your server, you may have thousands of records. So when I execute, yeah, I can see we have some US customers and Indian customers. Okay. So if I give D, sorry, country, I'll give it as D, Germany, German. Number of entries only 53. Okay. If I give yes, we have what? 28. Okay. So India, we have what? Some entries. Okay. So what is my requirement is, let us read country as input. Based on that country, I want to get the customer number, land one, name one. 3 fields I want to write into the standard text. So how do you read the user input? Referring to database field, I'll say parameters p underscore land one type one kn1 hyphen land. So what content you want to store in the standard text? Customer data. I have to retrieve it from KN1 table and have to store. So what fields you want to store? Customer number, customer country, and a customer name. Okay, so I'll declare an internal table with the required fields because I have to fetch the data based on land one. So each country might contain 0 or 1 or more records. So I require what? Internal table. If you're fetching multiple records, we require internal. Let's begin off. TY underscore, I'll say something K11. What are the fields you want? You declare it. Customer number type, K11 hyphen customer number, K11 hyphen land one. Then I'll take name one, type one, K11 hyphen name one. I'll close this. End of what? TY underscore K11. So based on this, I'll declare internal table. T underscore K11 type table of ty underscore kn. Declare a work area w underscore kn type ty underscore kn. So I declare internal table and work area. So somewhere here, say get. When you click on the execute button on the selection screen, what is the event trigger? Start of selection. So here I'll get customer data. So I'll write the select query. Select what are the fields you want to fetch. Land one, name one from K11 into table T underscore what? K11, where land one equal to the input land one. What is the input field? P underscore land. So when you're comparing with single field, already we know we have to use equal to operator. When you're comparing with the range, we have to use in operator. P underscore land. Get the data into the internal. If the select is successful, how do you check? If size of RC is equal to 0, I get the data into this particular internal table. This internal table data I have to write into the standard. What is the content you want to write into the standard text? That content you have to pass it through which parameter? Lines. through this internal table, lines of text to be saved, which has got two fields. What are they? TD format and TD line. TD format is character of 2. TD line will hold each line content. Character of what? 132. So in my case, each line will contain how many fields? 3 fields. Combination of customer number, land one, and what? Name one. So I have to concatenate these 3 fields. Each record contains 3 fields. I have to concatenate those 3 fields and assign it to this second field. What is the second field here? TD line. TD line. So what I'll do is observe this carefully. So I may get multiple records. If size of parse equal to 0, I will loop the internal table. Loop at t underscore lines into t underscore, sorry, loop at t underscore kn1 into w underscore kn1 and loop. So already I declared one internal table in work area for what? T line based on T line. What is the internal table we need to prepare? What? T line. So already I declared the internal table in work area. So before the loop, clear w underscore lines. I'll say w underscore lines. Inside the loop, I'll say clear w underscore lines. I'll say w underscore lines hyphen TD format equal to star. Star indicates what? Default paragraph. When you create it using SO10, left hand side we are getting star now, which indicates what? Default paragraph. Then each record will come to this work area now. This work area contains how many fields? 3 fields. Customer number, land one, and what? Name one. So I'll concatenate that. So here I'll say concatenate w underscore kn1 hyphen land one and what? Name one. W underscore kn1 hyphen name one into w underscore lines hyphen what is the second field in that? TD line. First field is TD format, second field is the TD line. Each can be maximum of 132 characters. Anyhow, in our case, combination of customer number, land one, name one is how much? Customer number is character of 10, land one is character of 35. Around what? 48. Not more than 132, around 48. Done. So concatenates also into TD line separated by, I want to separate by what space. I want to separate these fields by using what? Space. Then I'll say append w underscore lines to the internal table t underscore lines. So what is the logic we wrote here? We have fetched the required data into the internal table. If the data is available, we don't know how many records are there. We are looping that particular internal, and each record will come to work area. We are concatenating those 3 fields into this work area. And we are appending that to what? Internal or the customer data. Then here I'll say if t underscore lines is not initial, if the internal is not blank, what you have to do now? Create what? Now you have to create the size of parse equal to 0. Here what I did, I prepared standard text content. Preparing the standard text content. Create the standard text. So what is that function model you have to use? Save underscore what? Text, which has got 2 mandatory parameters. One is under import. While calling import becomes what? Export. This is a mandatory parameter. Tables, while calling remains what? Tables. This is the internal table. If any exceptions are there, better we handle the exceptions. Here I'll call the function model. I'll go to pattern. What is the function model? Save underscore text. Import becomes export. Client is anyhow optional, but still I'll pass it. I want to create this standard text in the login client. What is the client I logged in? 800. What is the work area prepared for header? W underscore header. Understood? W underscore header is what type? THEAD. So this parameter is expecting type THEAD only. So W underscore header. The parameters are optional, leave it. Export, anyhow, they're optional. So export becomes import, and remind this. Tables remains tables. What is the internal table I prepared? T underscore lines. And better we always handle the exceptions. Okay, so then here I'll say case size of RC. Okay, when one you handle the exceptions, all those things. When one then what? Exception. That's it. So it might prepare the standard text. Let me save it, check for the syntax. Use a pretty printer for proper alignment. So what is our agenda? We are trying to create the standard text dynamically. So when do we go for creating dynamically? If you want to store any dynamic content inside the standard text, we'll go for creating it dynamically. So what content I want to store here? Some customer data based on the given input country key. I have to fetch the data and write the data to the standard text. So what is the function model you have to use for that? Save underscore text. According to the signature, there is a mandatory importing parameter, which is nothing but a work area, which is carrying the header information into the standard text. And there is one internal table which will actually hold the standard text content. So I prepared that work area here. This is a work area holding the standard text header information. What is the standard text I'm trying to create? Z gensoft underscore address. Then I'm fetching the required data from the KNM1 table. I'm looping that. Then I'm preparing that internal table. Understood? Each line contains a combination of what? Customer number, land one. I'm appending it to T underscore lines. That's all. Then once the internal table is ready, I'm calling that particular function model. So before I execute this program, okay, so if I go to SO10, I don't have any standard text with the name Z Gensoft address is there. This I created last class. Z Gensoft address, it is there, but Z Gensoft underscore address is not there. Okay, what is the standard text we are trying to create dynamically? Z Gensoft underscore address. If I display, what is saying here? Not found. So this standard text is not available at this stage. So let us create it dynamically. So before I execute this program, any questions so far? Let me execute this program. If you want, you can debug it. I'll put the breakpoint. Country, I'll give it as something India. I'll give it as India, execute. Yeah, so if you see this header information, W underscore header, if I double click on this, it's a work area. So it is going to structure. As of now, nothing is there in the 32 fields. All are blank here. Zeros and spaces are there. Default values. So I'm preparing that header information. This TD object is always text. TDID is always ST. TDSPRAS is login language. How do you refer to the login language? I can use a system field SO-language. And this is the name of the standard text that you want to create. So I'll say F5. The header information is prepared. So if you see W header, if I double click, you can see TD object is text. TD out of 32 fields, we are setting data for what? Around 4 fields. Okay, done. So header information is ready. Then I want to write the customer data. So what is the land one we are entering? India. This internal table T underscore KNM1 as of now has got 0 records. So based on India, how many records I got? 43 records. So if you see T underscore KNM1, if you see T underscore KNM1, It has got how many records? 43 records, all Indian records, all Indian customers. Okay, done. Next, what you have to do, this data, I have to put it in that final internal table. So I'm preparing them. So if you see T underscore lines, it has got 0 records at this stage with how many fields? 2 fields. So if you see T underscore lines, TD format and what? TD line is there. TD format and TD line. This internal table is blank at this stage. So I'm looping that internal table into work area. I'm looping, so each record will come to the work area fields, customer number, land one, and what else? Name one. Okay, so when I loop, each record will come to that. I'm setting this TD format is star, and I'm concatenating. See here, I'm concatenating, putting in what? W underscore lines hyphen TD line. So when I say F5, yes, you can say I got the concatenation of what? Customer number, country, and name. That is stored in what? This work area field. Then I'm appending it to what? T underscore lines. When I say F5, one line content star, and this is the first record. The first record, which is a combination of customer, country, and what? Name. Okay, like this, how many times this will be iterated? 43 times, because we have 43 records in the internal table. And say F5, done. Again, I'm clearing the work area. Before I use, I have to clear. I'm setting the format equal to star. Again, I'm concatenating the second record. We are appending to the internal table. So if you see T underscore lines, it has got the second record. Okay, like this will be iterated how many times? 43 times. I'm not interested to further loop this. So in the debugging mode, I'll directly double click on 42nd line, so that the breakpoint is set at 42nd line. So when I say F8, control jumps to the next breakpoint. So internally, 42 times this will be iterated. So when I say F8, yeah, okay. So you can see this T underscore lines has got what? 43 lines, star and the other 40 lines. Then what I'm doing, I'm calling the function model save underscore text, which will write the, as of now, there is no standard text with that name. Now it will create. So when I say F8, it might have created. So go and check. Okay, so if you go to that SO10 now, zzensoft underscore address, earlier it was not there, not found. Now when I display, yes, now you can see it is showing me the content. Hello, you can see it is showing me all the what? Indian records. Combination, this star is format and combination of what? Customer number, country name. Each field is separate with what? Space. I got how many records in the standard text? 43, because 43 Indian customers are there. Right? So this is how we'll create the standard text dynamically. Any questions? Okay, so first time when I execute this, when the standard text is not there, what happened? It has created the standard text and we have written the content to that particular standard text. Now let me execute once again. Already the standard text is there. What data is in the standard text? Indian customers. So when I execute now, I'll give yes this time. Let's see what happens. So when I execute, it might have written, open the standard text and check. Earlier we had 43 entries. Now when I display, hello, what happened here? It is showing go to change editor. How many entries? 28 entries. So if you go to KNM table, if I give yes here, how many entries are there? Yes, 28. So only yes customer is showing, means the previous data in the standard text is overwritten. Earlier Indian is there. Now that Indian records, okay, what? Indian records got overwritten with what? US records. Indian records got overwritten with what? US records. Am I clear? So first time when the standard text is not there, It is creating the standard text and we have written the content. Second time when I execute, it is already there. So it is overwriting the existing content. That is a default behavior. It will always overwrite. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. Right. So we have created the standard text dynamically. Similarly, we have another function model. Read underscore text. Read underscore text. This function model we can use to what? Read the standard text content. This function model we can use to read the standard text content. So what content is there in standard text as of now? US customers. I want to read it. Whatever the data, I want to read it. So this is the function model we can use. Okay, let me quickly show you this. So what this save underscore text is doing, if the standard text is not there initially, it is creating and writing the content. If it is already there, it is overwriting the existing contents. Okay, so let me call the other function model. I'll give it a z read underscore read standard text content. Type of program is executable program. Before again calling any function model, you have to check the signature now. So if you see the signature of this function model, in the import section, there are 4 mandatory parameters. What is this? ID, language, the name of the standard text, and the object of the text to be read. If I pass this 4 mandatory parameters, including the client is any optional. What does it do? Observe here. It returns the standard text header information. If you are interested, we can receive this header. If you are interested only in the content, this internal table, lines of text read. So it is returning me an internal table of what type? TLINE. Right? It is returning the internal table of type what? TLINE. So here, yeah. So I'm interested to receive this particular internal table, which is of what type? TLINE. So just data T underscore lines type in a work area, W underscore lines type what? TLINE. Okay. So let me read the standard text. Call that function model read underscore text. Client will be the login client ID. ID is always ST. Language I'll give it a SI language, nothing but login language name. I'll give the name of the standard text as Z Airtel address, which I created last session. Object is always what? Text. Object is always text. Then I'm not interested in this. Directly I'll read the content into the internal table T underscore lines. Exceptions, better we handle the exceptions. Exception. Okay, so I'll say if T underscore line. So exception, you write it. Case size of RC, all those things. When 1 up to when 8. Okay. T underscore lines is not initial. If the internal table is not blank, understood. What is this internal table structure which we read? It is of type T line, lines of text, right? If I double click on this, it has got 2 fields, TD format and TD line, TD format and TD line. So I'll say loop at T underscore lines into W underscore lines hyphen what are the fields? TD format and what? TD line. W underscore lines hyphen what? TD line. TD format and TD line. Save it. check for the syntax. Got what? Airtel customer care Hyderabad, India. That's what is the content which is available in that standard text now, which I created day before yesterday. Z, what is this? Airtel address. 3 lines. Okay, Airtel customer care Hyderabad, India. Same content. I am able to read it what? Through programmatic. Dynamically, I am able to read it. Okay, that's what is content I want. Suppose I'll give the today's standard text which we created dynamically. What is that? Z gensoft underscore address. Save it. Check for the syntax. That's what all the US customers. When I execute, yes, you can see showing all the US customers. Okay, so your assignment is in the earlier program when I use that save underscore text. If the standard text is not available first time, it is creating the standard text and writing the content to the standard text. From the second execution onwards, standard text is already existing. So what is happening? What is the default behavior? It is overwriting the previous content. So your assignment is, if the standard text is not there, it has to create and write. Anyway, it is doing that. But if it is already existing, it should not overwrite. It should not overwrite. It should append the new content to the end of the existing content. Okay. So we have to use these two function models in combination. What is your agenda? If the standard text is already there, default behavior is it is replacing the previous contents with the new content. I don't want to replace, we have to append it. So how do you do this assignment? First in the program, first you call this read underscore text internal table, text function model. If the standard text is available, it returns the content to this internal table. It returns the content to this internal table. To this content only, you add the new content. You get the new data, append that content to this, and then call that function model save underscore text, so that this internal table contains old content as well as what? New content. So within the same program, first you call read underscore text, which will return the existing content into this internal table. So to this internal table, after this function model, you append the new content. Append means where it will append at the end. After appending to the end of the internal table, then at the last you call the function model save underscore text, so that it will write that internal table contents which contains both old content as well as what? New content. So related to standard text, we should know how to create statically by using SO10. Dynamically means you have to use this function model save underscore text. To read it dynamically, we have to use what? Read underscore text. And last class we have seen how to transport standard text, and we have seen how to include the standard text in the smart form. So in whichever window you want to show the standard text content, what you have to do? We have to create the text object of type what? Text element. You have to create the text object of type text element, and then include that particular, you have to create the text object of type include text. By default, when you create the text object, it will create the type of type what? Text element. You have to change it to what? Include text, and then include the, right? So I'll stop now. Tomorrow we'll see another concept in smart form. We have something called as 2 more important objects are there. 3 more things like copy window, alternative object, and how to convert the smart form to PDF. Those 3 important topics are there. We'll complete that in the next 2 sessions most probably. And coming Thursday, we may start the cross applications morning 6 o'clock. So I'll confirm it in 1 or 2 days. Okay. So thank you everyone. Any questions before I log off? Sure. Thank you. We'll meet tomorrow.